Welcome to Unlikely Bosses, the podcast that lives in a parked car, runs on real talk about business, life, and everything in between. We are Andy and Danielle, sisters, business partners who never had it figured out. Still don't. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up, learning as you go, and keeping it moving.
All right.
Every episode, someone is joining us in the back seat to share their unlikely story. This is Unlikely Bosses. No script and definitely no plan. Hi, we are beyond excited to welcome our next podcast guest in the backseat of our car, Jill Jardine.
Hi, everybody.
Okay.
Namaste.
So Jill is an astrologer, psychic, and she has her master's in counseling psychology and over 3 decades of experience.
I'm probably
That's
missing
you.
a lot of other shit.
That's
too.
you.
Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah,
what
that's
else?
how we roll.
Okay.
Yeah. We're all about the energy.
Yeah.
But of all her accolades, the one that is most important is that Jill is Expressive Delivery's Chief Astrology Consultant.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right.
Did you know that?
Welcome. Did you know that?
I
You
did
have
not
that
know
title?
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is impressive.
Well, we're going to explain why. What the fuck is astrology?
Okay, well, astrology is a cosmic art and science that has been around for thousands of years, and there's different systems that have evolved from ancient times. Our current Western astrology is a bit of a distillation or a watering down of what originally came from the Greek and Roman societies, and it has come down through the years. And in the late 1800s, early 1900s, it became famous with the newspaper sun sign forecasts. And then it kind of went into a relapse. Every 50 years, it tends to go into a relapse and then a rebirth. So we had a rebirth in the 20th century with the hippies of the 60s. So in the 1960s, astrology came back. It had kind of gone away from like the early 1900s, those sun sign forecasts in the newspapers, even though they had always been around, but it kind of was not as, much of a big deal. Astrology, if you look in like the 30s, 40s, 50s, it was really the late 60s when we had the Summer of Love, we had the revolution, the Cultural Revolution. There was a big astrological alignment in 1966 with the outer planets Pluto and Uranus coming together in Virgo, which really did birth the 60s and the consciousness movement. And that's where the age of Aquarius starts coming in. That was a song from the movie Hair, which was, really big in the late 60s and 70s, running around naked, singing songs. So astrology was having a rebirth at that time in the late 60s, 70s. And then it kind of went a little bit underground again. And when I got into astrology as a very young child in the 70s, not that young, I was taught by some of the hippies, the earlier generation.
Okay.
They were like mothers of my friends, and I learned astrology as a kid or young teenager, and it was still at that point it was very underground. I was practicing it in the 80s, the 90s, 2000s. It wasn't with the about right after 1999, but really not until about 2012 is when it's had its rebirth via the internet.
Okay.
And so again, we have astrology's back, and the generations that were born in the 90s, they were really responsible for kind of bringing it back and making it popular because they had some astrological signatures in their charts. They had the early 90s people had conjunction of Neptune, Saturn, and Uranus and Capricorn, which was shifting our society. And then the ones that came in the second half of the 90s had outer planets, Uranus and Neptune in Aquarius. Aquarius, again, a precursor, another activation of the Aquarian age. And that's what's made, astrology like through the roof now. And everybody is really understanding it, which makes my job easier. But then it also makes for more charlatans and people who think they know astrology, who know squat.
Interesting.
Right.
But it goes way back, and it was used very strongly in medieval times. Nostradamus in the 1500s used astrology. There's also another system, which is the Vedic astrology called Jyotish, which means science of light in Sanskrit, of which I am a practitioner as well, even though I've been doing Western for many years. But I've been doing professional Vedic astrology from India in the last 10 years. And the two systems actually work well together. But if you're not going to find many people who can use both. They're either a Western astrologer or what we call tropical zodiac, or they're a Vedic astrologer, which is called sidereal astrology. They're two different systems, but they do work together when you know how to blend them. And the difference is that Western astrology, what everybody knows about, has outer planets, 3 outer planets: Uranus, the planet of change; Neptune, the planet of delusion and glamour; and Pluto, our friend for the Aquarians in the house, the planet of transformation. And when these planets shift, you're going to see major shifts in the collective. And guess what? In 2025, we've had 7 huge planetary shifts since January. And so that's why it's been kind of a whirlwind year, because never in the history of, I think they've said, how many years, 60,000 years or whatever, we haven't had this level of shifting of outer planets in astrology. And, astrology may not have even been around when this happened before, but it's become really popular in the last 100 years. But again, every 50 years, there's a resurgence of it. And we're in one of those right now.
That makes sense.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm feeling
That's
it, right?
wild.
It's been wild since January.
Oh, yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, of course.
And nobody, and every sun sign or every zodiac sign is feeling it, some more than others, because there's about half the zodiac is actually being affected by planetary transits through their sign. And when we get to the sun sign forecast, I'll give people that download with that.
Okay.
Teaser to come.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
But the way I work astrology, I mean, I was just saying this to a colleague, that you've got the generation of the younger astrologers who, I love their enthusiasm. I love their desire to learn. And it is being used as a way to know thyself, which is what was written in the Hermetic temple. So it's helping people understand themselves. However, it's also inundation of information. And it's great to have that information, but then how do you use it? How do you use it to catalyze your process? How do you use it for self-actualization? That's where someone like I would come in, because I'm trained as a therapist. Actually, I got a therapy degree in 1991 to legitimize my astrology, because you didn't have certifications back then. Now there's a lot of certification, but I use it, as you guys are aware of and your company's aware of, as a tool for transformation, self-actualization, moving energy, to activate potentials that are there in your chart, to bring something toward you that you want to manifest.
Right.
Knowing your astrology, knowing when it's, time to go for something and when it's time to back off is really, really powerful. Because let's say you're in a very powerful work cycle or business transit. You want to rock that. You want to make hay with that.
Right.
But let's say it's not good for business, but maybe it's good for personal relationships. Well, put your attention there.
Right.
Maybe it's a good time to seed potentials, not necessarily, so that means new beginnings. Maybe it's a time for endings and closure. So this is where astrology can help you navigate your life, your business, your relationship, people in your life. I always have people wanting to see more than just their own charts. They want to see their partners. They want to see their kids' charts, because it's all relevant to somebody's life.
Absolutely. And we feel that we come to you with just, decisions that need to be made. Does this feel right? Because maybe it does for us or it doesn't. You sort of guide it. You don't tell us 100% what to do always, but you're like, I like this. This feels good. The charts are aligning.
Or this is the window to talk about it.
Yeah.
Or to engage and or
moving
hold off.
forward.
Right.
Yeah. It's like a navigation tool.
Well, the other thing, I really tread lightly, because I use it to empower people. You never want to take away, as a healer or a self-help facilitator. You always want to give it back to the person.
Free will.
Yeah. Right.
And then they make the decisions. And, a lot of times people will come to me and say, what should I do, Jill? And I'm like, well, you can do A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
I always give them the options, but then, it's their sole decision to navigate through it and to do it. I will hold hands, but I will never do it for you. You have to do it. But it's good to have that level of information and almost like soul knowledge as to why. And then it's, of course, divine timing. It's about the timing of when things are supposed to unlock or unfold in somebody's life.
So just going way back though, when you were studying under your friend's moms, did it just click? And did you know you had a gift, or was it?
Okay, that's a great question, Andy. Because Yes, I kind of understood it really, like it was not a foreign language to me.
Okay.
And mind you, this is pre-computers, so you had to like write out the charts, and it took some level of mathematical wherewithal, which I
Right.
wasn't, a fan of math as much. But like I was already very intuitive as a kid. I used to you know, see dead people and all that fun stuff. So astrology was sort of a natural outlet. At the same time, I was working with tarot cards. And
Yeah.
back then, everybody was like, you're a witch, you're a witch.
Yeah.
Because it was like not a time when this was of mass acceptance. So I remember going away from astrology for a while because it was very complicated figuring out charts and going into the tarot. But then by and so in the 80s, I danced between the two of those. But by the 90s, with the occurrence of computers and being able to get programs, I fully then, went back to the astrology and the printed charts instead of me having to handwrite them. So yeah, I knew I had an inclination to it. Being an Aquarius, Aquarians are the natural astrologer, what they used to say. But like another esoteric technique that came to me, and it was like I had done it before. So yes, I was an astrologer in a past life. I fully believe that. And I think it was in India, because when I first learned Sanskrit mantra, which is not an easy language.
No.
Sanskrit is a very ancient, it's a vibrational language. It doesn't have exact translation. It's an energetic language. The mantras were flying off my lips like I was speaking,
Right.
my home language. So that's when I started putting together, and this would have been in the 2000s, that wow, yeah, I definitely have done, been a yogi or a jyotish, a practitioner of Vedic astrology in the past. So yeah, the astrology was definitely a soul gift that I reactivated, which everybody has that, and everybody, it's been around. Think about astrology; it's been around thousands of years.
Right.
So there's a
Right.
lot of people out there who have been astrologers in previous lives.
Right.
And then there's like basically the way it's being used in modern ages, which is for therapy.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So there we go.
Very cool. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about astrology in business.
Okay.
Okay. There is a rumor of a quote, and it's from JP Morgan. And it's rumored that he had said, millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. So can you talk about how you have helped business owners or just people in their careers? Because we could talk firsthand how we use your gift. But can you sort of talk about that world?
Yes. So I do have many people who own businesses or, are working people. A lot of men come to me for business, being head
That's
honchos.
surprising.
Yeah. And so, well, it's kind of their little secret, right?
Yeah,
But
right.
nowadays, not so much. But yeah, so it does help navigate that business world. And it's really good because you can actually draw up charts for the companies, for the business, any major decisions, if things are, if there are buyouts or the company wants to be sold, we can look at all that and track all that. And certainly we can track the financials of business and, slow cycles, when it's a good time to invest, when it's a good time to draw back. And I'm talking all levels. I'm talking local small businesses. I have advised clients, but then we're talking bigger businesses. And the other area that's kind of attached to that, or kind of connected in a weird way, is there was a time in 2021 and 2022 when I did a lot of consulting for cryptocurrency. And that's a sticky wicket, but I kind of cracked the code because I would look at the charts of when these cryptocurrency funds or companies were founded, and then that's the chart that I worked with. And so weirdly enough, in 2021 there was this cryptocurrency called Shiba, and it was up and coming. It was actually one of the Elon Musk ones. It went alongside with Dogecoin, and nobody had heard of it, but I had seen a chart of it in the summer of 2021, and I had a bit of a following, and I said, this is going to make a shitload of money. And I gave the date because I had tracked the date, and sure enough, some people became what they called Shiba millionaires.
Oh my
from
God.
that
Oh my
one.
gosh, that's amazing.
But weirdly enough, I don't really do it anymore because that whole crypto community, it was almost a little bit cult-like. And when it was a slow time, they get really mad, because they want to know, when am I going to make money? So
Right.
I kind of pulled back from it 2023, 2024, 2025, because I also saw it wasn't really going to be doing what it did back then. And apparently that is true. I don't know much about crypto, which
Yeah,
was
I
kind
don't
of cool
either.
going in cold
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I just use strictly astrology without knowing anything about these funds. So yeah, so that was like, I just read those crypto charts as if they were a company, the way I work with a company.
So
Oh,
that's the thing. So when you read a company's chart, is it the owners or the founders or the
Oh,
actual?
it's we like to get the incorporation date and as
Okay.
closest to the
We've
time.
never done that.
No.
Yeah. But looking at the primaries of the company too is another way that we
Okay.
can read
Our
how
charts.
how it's
Okay.
because we would look at like your 10th house of career, but there's other archetypal or astrological energies we can look at that's going to show how your business is going to be, because it is an extension of you.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it does take a place in your chart.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
so connected.
It
And
is.
we're so connected.
Yeah.
Like if our charts, how
Yeah.
we do with each other as business
Yeah.
partners, it's
Yeah.
all
Oh, it cracks me up. And
Right.
and I remember, what was it in their most recent reading, I think a couple months ago, I was like, oh my God, you guys are all both going to get that Uranian thing when Gemini goes into Uranus, which was July 7th, by the way. And there was some other thing. Oh yeah, there was a Pluto transit that was kicking both of your asses.
Yeah.
But so forewarned, it's forearmed, right?
Yeah.
Right. So even like non-business, just in life, there's parts of the chart that can help people navigate their career, or like if they're questioning things, pivot, all of
Absolutely.
that stuff.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, the thing about astrology is, someone who's been really practicing it.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I started when I was 5 years old, 40 years, right?
Yeah.
So there's layers, there's layers, there's layers. That's why it's almost like you never stop learning when you study astrology,
Right.
because
Right.
you go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then there's specialties like business astrology, like medical astrology, which is a branch I've kind of dabbled in, medical astrology, understanding people's health.
That's fascinating.
There's relationship astrology. There's something called, obviously we look at transits, which are how the chart's being affected in time. There's also something called composite, when you would take a relationship and you make one chart for the couple, and then there's synastry for relationship counseling, where you look at both charts and how do they align. Or you make one chart where you take both of the people in the relationship and you make one chart out of it, and that's the relationship chart. So there's all these branches of it. But yeah, the business astrology is very powerful, but it is something that you really have to kind of navigate it. It's not maybe as second nature as reading a personal chart.
Right.
Yeah.
We did have this question, but is there two signs that shouldn't go into business together?
Well, it's funny because I think that when you're looking at polarities, you might have some issues. So every sign has its opposite sign,
Right.
but most of them can navigate it. I think the two hardest polarities to go into business together would be Taurus and Scorpio. They're both the money signs,
Interesting.
but they work with money in very different ways.
Okay.
Taurus, generally would be much more conservative and frugal. Now, mind you, we have to look at like all the other planets,
Right.
but in general,
In general,
Taurians and Scorpio work very differently with money.
Okay.
Scorpio's more like, okay, let's spend it. Let's get the flow going. When we have to spend money to make money, where a Taurus might be like, no, we can't spend. We have to be very frugal. So if you get a Taurus and Scorpio working in a business, you're going to have two totally different money mindsets generally, unless, let's say, the Taurus has a Scorpio moon, then he's going to get it, right?
Right.
But yeah, so that would probably be a little bit difficult. And then sometimes like an earth and a fire may butt heads a little bit.
Okay.
Because earth being more conservative, with fire like, hey, let's take a risk. Let's take a risk. I'm thinking something like a Sagittarian with a Virgo. Very different approach. And they do something called squaring anyway, where there's an angle of those signs that isn't always. But in personal charts, like when people ask me about getting married and things like that, sometimes it's like, it's okay. The opposites.
Right. I agree with that.
Opposites attract.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. That's good.
I don't know. I mean, we kind of answered all of these though.
Okay.
Just from a personal standpoint, have you ever used what's like the biggest life decision you've used?
Oh, to do astrology?
Yeah. Like you use astrology for.
The timing of a divorce. Yeah, it's very good for that. Like when to get the lawyer
Really?
involved. Yeah, when to
Really?
make moves, and also like a house move too. Like when
Oh, right.
to make a house move or when to put a house on the market.
Okay.
It's very, very good for that kind of thing.
Okay.
But yeah, knowing when to in general, when to pull in legal help
Okay.
regarding something,
Okay.
because that can be, very tricky for a lot of people. So
And
yeah,
that's specific to the person or what's going on?
to
Both.
both.
It's
Yeah,
both.
yeah. Like like for instance, the classic rule of thumb: don't buy a house or a car during Mercury retrograde. That really does hold true. I also work with mitigation for bad astrology, which is the Sanskrit mantras, and they can help. Like I've had clients where, Jill, I need to make this offer. I know it's Mercury retrograde. If I don't make this offer in the house, someone else might grab it. And I'm like, okay, make the offer during Mercury retrograde, do these Sanskrit mantras. Don't close on the house though during a Mercury retrograde.
There's a way around it.
There are, we know
Interesting.
techniques, or, I also work with gem remedies. It's like, okay, wear this gem, this yellow citrine, this yellow sapphire for Jupiter, and, and do this mantra, and you'll work through these obstacles. But it's best if you can wait until the timing is more optimal.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is fascinating. I love it.
Me too.
Love. Okay. So were we going to talk about September, or are we going right to express it?
Well, the September was. Oh wait.
What's happening? The themes?
Yeah. Should we do express it first, then go into like
show people
overall?
how I do a little reading?
Yeah, and then we want to
With
talk
the
about like
mantras and
September.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
We could do a quick little express it reading.
So, the thing I wanted to share, that not all astrologers do this, but I've learned that doing an invocation or even a simple prayer. I started with a simple prayer back when I was young doing readings, and then it's evolved to Sanskrit mantras. But in the West, people don't understand the necessity of protection of your field from the astral plane, from, negative energy. So I can't emphasize this enough. Anybody who's doing like mediumistic readings to connect with people on the other side, or anything that is working with energy, it's always a good idea to protect yourself. So this mantra that I do, these mantras in Sanskrit, first of all, Sanskrit's a vibrational language, and what they do is they remove obstacles for me and for the person I'm doing the reading for. They bestow blessings from the lineage of which I was initiated in, and they also transmit healing. That's when everybody feels the buzziness and gets the spiritual goosebumps. So I'm going to do that. And guess what? This can be transmitted through the quantum field, through the airwaves. So people listening will get a benefit from this.
I love it.
So this is for the reading of Express It, but I want anybody out there listening to think about, what is it? What obstacles do you need to remove in your life? Where do you want more positive energy or healing? And also, be open to be receptive to how the divine wants to come through for you.
Okay.
And this little mantra invocation will help. So here we go. All right. Happy hands.
Happy hands.
Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Shri Mahalakshmiye Swaha. Om Aim Saraswatiye Swaha. I'm Reem Shrin Klim Sa Klim Reem Bloom Stream Nalatari Saraswati. Drum Dream Klim Bloom Sahaim Reem Shrin Klim Sa Sarim Swaha. Om Bur Om Buvaha Om Swaha Om Maha Om Janaha Om Tapaha Om Satyam. Om Tatsavitur Varenyam Bargo Devasya Dhimahi Dio Yona Prachodayat. Om Shrim Rim Kleen Ganeshvaraya Brahmarupaya Charave Sarvasiti Pradeshaya Vigneshaya Namo Namaha Kayala Rim Hasakahalarim Sakalarim Shrim Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sukadim Pushtivadanam Urvahu Kamiva Bandanan Ritor Mukshia Mamritat. I call in Divine Mother, I call in Divine Father, I call in the Christ Consciousness, I call my guides, angelic helpers, masters from the highest vibrations of love, light, will. We call in Danielle's guides, angelic helpers, masters from the highest vibrations of love, light, will. We call in Andy's guides, angelic helpers, masters from the highest vibrations of love, light, and will. We ask that this be a session, a sharing of divine love, divine healing, divine wisdom, divine intuition. I ask to be a clear and perfect channel for source, and we remove all obstacles and ask for an instant healing and blessing. Om Shipra Prasadaya Namaha. And this is a reading for Express It. And as I come into the vibration of your company and your business, of course, your father, who the original owner, is coming through, as he is prone to do during these readings. And he's very, very happy for you guys. He loves this idea with the podcast. But what he is saying is that he just hopes it translates to cash. He hopes it translates to money. Does that sound like something he might say?
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
know. Yeah. He's very proud of the way you guys are handling. And so this is also what I'm getting. And now this is more of a psychic read, and then we'll talk about the astrology of the company. But I looked at it, I don't have it with me. And I saw that with the Uranus going into Gemini recently, that there was going to be a change. So it feels like there is going to be international concern coming in, that you will seal that deal. And it's coming. And so things that have been on the back burner for you guys, they're going to move a little faster, especially in the month of September and October. And there's a revisitation in September due to the retrograde Saturn affecting you guys both in your chart, that some things that were not able to be completed earlier in this year or even last year are going to come back. And as they come back, it's like, you're dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and there's some contractual things that are going to be going down. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And the fact that you so you're a Libra and you're an Aquarius. So we have the two air signs. And now that Uranus is in Gemini, that creates a nice aspect. It's like a unification. So something in your business is going to be getting unified. The other good news is that Pluto is retrograde. So like the stress, the intensity, like some of this minor business stuff that actually is could have bigger ramifications, it's not going to be as pressing and stressful. Pluto retrograde and Aquarius now.
Oh, good news.
Yeah. So that's going to help you guys with the biz. And then I did see that, like, as we go into 2026, they were telling me not a rebrand, but some aspect of your business, you're going to almost rebrand. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
What?
Downtown courier work.
Oh,
Boom.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so your business being courier is actually ruled by the planet Mercury, okay? Because Mercury is,
Right.
Hermes, Mercury, the messenger or the courier. So
Well, that's why there's so many Mercury courier companies out there.
Boom. Yeah.
Well, this is like,
didn't
I
know
had
that.
no idea.
I
I can't believe you're saying courier, and this is what we've been talking about.
Yep.
Going back into like the demand courier part of our
Very
business.
powerful. This will come on after a Mercury retrograde cycle that happens in July, from July 18th to August 11th. But just for you guys, as we're recording this before, during that time, just don't initiate anything new with the
Okay.
business.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
And then we'll have another retrograde cycle 3 months out from that. So that would bring us to October, November.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but
Okay. Could we prepare? Like, could we start to prepare to like launch in October?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
The other thing, we're going to segue into September, but September is going to be kind of a dicey month because of the fact it's not a Mercury retrograde month this year, but it's an eclipse month. And we had one in March. If you remember the month of March, what went down for people, March 2025. So the eclipse is usually activate a certain polarity in astrology. And so this year in 2025, it's been the Virgo Pisces polarity. So we don't have any, we have planets there. We all have those, we have all of the signs somewhere in our birth chart. It's just, do we have planets there or not? I mean, most people know their sun sign, right? So we know we're not Virgo, Pisces, sun, but those people who are might be having more challenges this year.
Okay.
And so March would have been a month. And now again, we have September, which is when the sun does go through the sign Virgo.
Okay.
So there's 2 dates, the 7th of September, which is going to be a lunar eclipse, full moon lunar eclipse.
Okay.
And with the moon in Pisces, sun in Virgo. And then on the 21st of September is a new moon solar eclipse in the sign Virgo. So you guys are under the gun. Virgo.
Do you avoid those days?
Yeah.
So when
in Western astrology, they're not as like, prohibitive about it. But in Vedic astrology, eclipses are a really big deal. I mean, basically, it's like shelter at home. I mean, we don't need to be that extreme, but they're very much about not doing anything major around eclipses, making major decisions, starting anything new. Um,
Mhm.
and generally, we like to initiate on new moons. Okay, so new moons, again, that new moon will be on the 21st of September, but when it's an eclipse new moon,
Yeah.
you don't want to do that. You don't want to start because it's going to get eclipsed. And what does
Okay.
eclipse means? It means the light of the luminaries, which are the sun and moon in astrology, is eclipsed. It's
Okay.
like it's
Oh,
hidden.
it's
So
got it.
so that time period too, we tend to, in the collective and in the media, we get all kinds of dirt come out. We get all kinds of hidden secrets. So I can tell you there's going to be big ones in September of 2025.
Okay.
So it's really a 2 week period from the 7th to the 21st.
Okay.
Okay.
So not necessarily a great time to travel either, because you can have things like, you know, delays, and it's not like Mercury retrograde, but it can be like big
Disruptive.
upsets,
Okay.
very disruptive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So kind of like not stay in, but lay low. Maybe
Yeah.
just sit
Yeah.
back a little.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, if you're going to get in the car and go down to the Cape Cod or something from where we are, that's okay. But
Okay.
like plane travel, I try to stay away from eclipses.
Okay.
Especially
Good to
these
know.
days where, you know, it's a tough time anyway for planes.
Okay. Is there anything good for the month of September?
Yeah,
that
there's
we-
a lot. So September is going to be good. Let me give you guys the date. The really good thing happens on the 1st. It's Saturn retrogrades out of Aries. So that's going to give the Aries people a break that have been really getting hammered, and the opposite sign Libra by Saturn, Lord of Karma, teaching lessons. It goes back into Pisces. So guess what, Pisces? Not only are eclipses happening in your sign, but Saturn's back there. It was there for 3 years and it left at the end of May, and now you get to be revisited. But for all of us, it's actually nice for an integration of all the intensity that's gone on.
That's
I think
good.
things might, yes, we're having eclipses, but the Saturn retrograde gives us time to catch our breath.
Okay.
Mercury will go into Virgo the 2nd through the 18th of September, which is one of its home signs, Virgo and Gemini. So it will give people time it's a good thing for getting back to work and
Okay.
taking care of business and being very analytical and getting shit done.
I
Mercury
love
and
it.
Virgo.
I'm ready for September.
Yep. Then we got the 7th, the lunar eclipse, Pisces moon, brings emotional attention. And like I said, it's going to bring a lot of revelations, or things are going to be coming to the surface. Then on the 18th of September, Mercury moves into Libra, promoting diplomacy and social interaction.
All
So
right.
that's actually good. If there's a big kind of international or national event that feels more aggressive, Mercury in Libra will play the diplomat and help calm things down.
Okay.
Then on the 19th, we've got Venus going into Virgo. Venus, the planet of luck. She doesn't like Virgo. Virgo is too restricted. So you got to make the most of it while she's
Okay.
in Leo up until the 19th. So get
Okay.
your love lights on
I love it.
up until the 19th. Then
Okay.
it's like the goddess of love has to go to work, right? So
Oh.
she's not going to be a lot of fun from the 19th on. Then we've got that big solar eclipse on the 21st of September with the sun and moon in Virgo. And it's also at the very end. So this also shows the end of a cycle. And it's a significant turning point for us personally and collectively. And there can be a release. So there's going to be something finally gets cleared.
Freaking can't wait.
Yeah. And then we have Mars going into Scorpio. It loves Scorpio. It's one of its traditional signs of rulership on the 22nd. So that could be very volatile, unfortunately, Mars and Scorpio. But I think it could be okay for the markets, financial markets too.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on the same day, the 22nd, the sun enters Libra, and that's the autumnal equinox. So everything's in balance. We want to find equanimity. And then we don't have any real transits for the rest of the last like 9 days of September.
Okay.
It should be pretty chill.
So I think September sounds like fabulous
Well,
based off what you're saying.
I think there's going to be some volatility, to be quite honest, because eclipses tend to bring
Okay.
that.
Okay.
And the other thing with Virgo and Pisces in astrology, it is the axis, AXIS, of health.
Okay.
So I think that we're going to see a lot of information and things coming up around health, disease, measles, COVID, there's going to be a lot of, because guess what? It's also going into the winter season when these airborne viruses and stuff come back. So there's going to be a lot of probably cautionary energy, or, fear inducing or alarmist energy around disease, health, all of that.
Okay.
We'll see if RFK can make it through all of that.
Okay. Good to know. Okay. So what about, we're going to do a reading, right? We're going to do a lightning round. You're going to,
of all the signs?
Yes.
Forecast.
Woo-hoo!
The lightning round zodiac forecast.
Okay.
Here comes our zodiac forecast.
Get ready.
Here it is.
For September.
For all the sun signs. I'm going to start with the first sign of the zodiac, Aries. So I by the way, I have a podcast, Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine.
Yes.
Every month I release your sun sign forecast and the astro update for that month. And it's usually released within the first, second, or third day of the month. So this is hitting the airwaves before I even have released my own podcast.
Okay. Sorry.
Thank you.
So Aries, in September, guess what? Hooray! Saturn has left the building temporarily until D-Day comes back on Friday the 13th, February 2026. It will return and crack the whip, but make hay right now. You can have fun. The upshot is that you can have a few months to clean up your crap before Saturn forces you to put it into baggies. So have fun, and it's a really good time for focusing on your finances and completion of past matters, Aries. Taurus, Uranus is transiting your second house of resources, takes you on a financial roller coaster. Money comes in, it goes out. Taurus doesn't like economic instability, so go walk out in nature and take your mind off of it. Get grounded and keep telling yourself, I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, and gosh darn it, people like me.
Oh,
Taurus, for any of that financial or self-insecurity. Gemini, oh my gosh, you're having a blast. You're riding the wild whirlwind of Uranus and Gemini, but it's forcing you to be flexible and maybe even taking some risks. It's important to breathe deeply, Gemini. Take your foot off the acceleration pedal and learn how to relax into your inner self. Quit complaining and start living. Watch those rash words flying out of your mouth. Cancer. It's a great time to be Cancerian. As Jupiter's been transiting your sign, it's exaltation. You feel the love from the earth goddess Virgo, reaping the harvest of all those seeds you planted around your birthday. Virgo helps you to keep your appetites in check, both for food and carnal pleasures. Leo, you come alive until September 19th. Venus transits your sign, so your charm and charisma are at an all-time high. You can get people to do what you want. Make hay while the sun shines, because when it goes into Virgo, that's going to be Debbie Downer. So take advantage of the lucky aura that you are surrounded in early September. Virgo, ruh-roh. The eclipses are hitting you hard. Don't make any rash decisions or major decisions this month. There's a disturbance in the force, and you're not your normal rational self. You might be overly emotional, especially on the Pisces full moon lunar eclipse on September 7th. Wait till the end of the month to initiate anything. Libra,
that's a good one.
Libra. You're getting the love fest from Uranus and Gemini and Pluto and Aquarius. It's accelerating your life. And guess what?
What?
Saturn in Aries has left the building, so you don't have that level of stress.
Yay!
So rock back,
free.
Libra. And guess what? On the 22nd, it's your time. The sun goes into Libra. So rock it. Make your plans in early September. Actually, September will probably one of the best signs is going to be Libra, because at the end, it's their time to rock, and they're not affected by these eclipses.
I'm ready to rock.
You go, girl.
You go, girl.
I love this for you.
Yeah. Express it.
Yeah.
Now, Scorpios, Jupiter in Cancer throws love and light your way, so you feel a sense of ease and grace now as things flow smoothly. You also have Mars going in that sign, so watch those carnal appetites, because you could really try to get your groove on in many ways. Pay attention, though. Turn it to your creative pursuits. Channel all that energy into your creativity, Scorpio. Sagittarius. Sag is thriving on the fire and air outer planets, giving you a big boost. You complete tasks, and Uranus, Gemini, and Pluto, Aquarius brings excitement to you, Sag, and rewires your brain. Capricorn, organization is very important for you in order to ride the whirlwind and to deal with these eclipses. You should do okay. Breathe deeply and do your inner work to weather the outer storms. It's not business as usual.
Oh.
Aquarius, woohoo! Pluto retrograding in your sign gives you time to integrate the intensity of the past months. New potentials pop up everywhere with new beginnings that are going to take hold in 2026. Your chart ruler, Uranus, is now in fellow air sign Gemini, makes for a fun fast.
All right.
Expansion of consciousness abounds.
That is true. That is happening.
Yeah.
Pisces. Jupiter in Cancer sends healing to Pisces and promotes retreats and escapes. Take advantage of the downtime during the summer because in September, guess what? Now you're in eclipse land. So just be braced for whatever rocks your world during these eclipse cycles from basically all of September. You'll be free after the 21st. So just do that escape and retreat. That might be the easiest way to weather the Pisces Virgo eclipses. And that's all, folks.
All right.
Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine.
Yes, we'll put that up.
Found on your favorite platform.
You got to get on Instagram too.
And then also, Jill, what's your website
Instagram.
so people can book with you
Yes.
a session?
Yeah.
JillJardineAstrology.com.
We'll put it up there.
We'll put it up too.
In the show notes and the Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine.
I love it. Okay.
Lots of cool episodes. I was just talking to you guys about that Cosmic Tower. Check it out. The Cosmic Tower. First of all, we went over because we could talk for an hour.
Okay.
With
you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Cool.
But we usually end with a question about like being an unlikely boss or something like that. But what we wanted to ask you was different. What would you say to an unlikely believer of all this?
The skeptics in the crowd.
Just saying, what would be a one or two sentence that you would say to them?
The proof is in the pudding. So I understand about skepticism. I actually used to do readings when I worked at Harvard for all the graduate students and professors in the anthropology department. Skepticism is good because these days there are a lot of charlatans or fake gurus, astrologers, we used to call them fake shamans. So yeah, skeptic is good. And what I tell my clients is like, just come with an open mind, experience it, and see what happens. Yeah. As I said, proof is in the pudding. It's the results that happen after.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
well, we couldn't love you more.
No, we love you
guys. Thanks for inviting me.
We are so grateful that you spent the time with us and beyond happy that you are our chief astrology.
Maybe you will come back in the car.
Maybe you'll come back.
I will. Maybe I will
before
after
the new year.
After eclipse season.
Yeah.
After. Okay. Thank you, Jill Jardine.
Thank you. Namaste. Thank you, everybody.
Namaste.